Hello, I appreciate being asked to speak about justice and equality, a subject very close to my heart. I was born in Costa Rica, a very beautiful country in Central America, but a very male-dominated country, especially when I was a young girl. Even before I could understand male-female dynamics, I could see that women had to struggle to achieve even approaching justice and equality. My father left the family when I was 2 years old, and my mother was pregnant with her fourth child. At the time, if a man left the family, it was considered a woman's fault. To provide for us, my mother took a job as a teacher in a very remote jungle town called Wapiles, where there was no electricity or running water. You had to go in and out of the town by train or horseback. Life was not easy, but as kids, we didn't know any better. We were loved and we found ways to have fun. But even at 7 years old, I could see the advantages that boys had. Logically enough, in a jungle setting, we like to play Tarzan. When I said I wanted to be Tarzan, the other kids laughed at me because I was a girl and Tarzan had to be a boy. Since I did not want to be Jane, I created a series of challenges. Who could climb the highest tree, transfer to the next tree without going down? Who could jump into the river from the highest rock? And there were other such obstacles. If you could do those tasks, then you deserve to be Tarzan. I won, and I was able to be Tarzan for 2 years. To reach the desired end, I had to change the qualifications. What I learned in my quest to become Tarzan helped when I decided to follow my next important ambition, to become a bullfighter. Another thing that girls and women just did not do. I learned early on that when you are in the ring with the bull does not see a man or a woman. He doesn't care if you're Catholic or Jewish. He sees only a target to take down. Even though I was afraid at first, adrenaline took over. And since I knew what to do when I confronted the bull, I felt confident and on top of the world. When I was fighting bulls in Mexico City, there were no women fighting bulls who could mentor me. So men became my mentors. Eventually, I became the main attraction and I got paid more than men did. The tables would turn. Many years later, in 1994, when I opened Mission Management and Trust Company as the nation's first minority women-owned trust company, I knew I would face some hurdles, and I did, especially in the early years. One of our corporate objectives was to provide increased opportunities for women and minorities. Sister Ann Kelly was treasurer of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament at the time. Consistent with St. Catherine's desire to promote opportunities for minorities, the sisters became Mission's first institutional client. They help us establish credibility. Tucson, Arizona does have a high minority population, but like me, most are Hispanic. Despite the numbers, there were very few leadership positions. In a few years, I tried unsuccessfully to develop interest in establishing a group that would encourage and support potential Hispanic leaders. When I made no headway, I drew my attention to the African American community that represents only 5% of Tucson's population. Ironically, I found much greater enthusiasm for the idea. We put together a group called the Round Table, which met frequently in Mission's office. Our first great success was helping to select an African American man from San Antonio to fill the position as CEO for United Way. On his own merits, he was eventually named chairman of the Tucson Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. We also provided support for minority students at the University of Arizona. The Roundtable members surprised me with the honor of Tucson's Urban League's initial Whitney Young Award. On a more national basis, those of you who are sports fans were certainly pleased to see the first woman official in the Super Bowl this year. And the world has witnessed the United States in recent years select the first African American president. And this year, the first woman of color as vice president. Prejudice, however, against African Americans and Native Americans has existed forever. Now we see an explosion of hate crimes against Asian Americans. It is very clear that there's still a long road ahead before we see true justice and equality. Very few are willing to give up what St. Catherine did. But we can all promote the mission of justice and equality with prayers, by example, with advocacy. I wish you all success in pursuing this critical mission.